last season they came off kind of soft. You know, the defense was pretty
definitely
soft.
the defense. Yeah, I mean, well, they played that way.
Yeah, and I think when you bring in somebody like CJ Gardner-Johnson or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, whatever, we'll figure out what he wants to be called when he has his first press conference. But when you bring in somebody who can kind of lay down the law physically and mentally the way he can, I think it helps your locker room. I think it sets the tone.
McMullen and McDonald, you're back on that Birds 365, guys. Good to have a buddy back on the show. It's been a while. Hopefully you had a great summer. He's back to work for the Pro Football Network. Mike Kaye joins us here on Birds 365. And you cut yourself a little short there. You're looking big across the shoulders. You been working out, Kaye?
I've been doing my darndest to drop some off-season weight. As you guys know, this career does not lend well to...
I know, Mike, unfortunately.
I just realized before I came on here, speaking of self-care, I was supposed to have a chiropractor appointment at 10. They're going to be very surprised when I'm on this if they are watching this show. Because I've got to cancel. But I couldn't not jump on with you guys this week.
Oh, we appreciate it, Mike. So unfortunately for the chiropractor, but we'll take the good fortune. The Eagles had their own good fortune thanks to Howie Roseman. Need your first reaction to the Eagles acquiring Ronnie Lott, or AKA CJ Gardner-Johnson.
I think, John, you can tell me if you feel this way too. I mean, I know Philly fans and Philly writers are very strict about their toughness, their edge on the field. Last season they came off kind of soft. The defense was pretty
definitely
soft.
The defense. Yeah, I mean, well, they played that way.
Yeah, and I think when you bring in somebody like CJ Gardner-Johnson or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, whatever, we'll figure out what he wants to be called when he has his first press conference. But when you bring in somebody who can kind of lay down the law physically and mentally the way he can, I think it helps your locker room. I think it sets the tone. He is really by trade a nickel corner in the NFL, but he's going to play safety. Jonathan Gannon comes from the Mike Zimmer tree. And we know Mike Zimmer likes safeties with corner backgrounds. He likes guys with ball skills. And I think that's what they're prioritizing, as Howie Roseman said yesterday. I think their coverage in the secondary got significantly better with this move. I've been on record, even covering it nationally, Anthony Harris was not the guy. I was a little actually surprised that they decided to go with him over Rodney as the veteran holdover. And I think, look, you're seeing what came out of that. I think they're very, very high on Marcus Epps. And frankly, after the offseason that he had, I kind of agree with them. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but I do think he's a starting level safety in this league. He has worked his way up from a practice squad guy to a part-timer to a guy that can actually really fill a role in this sort of defense, given his background in Minnesota as well. And I think Gardner-Johnson's a guy who really can fit a lot of roles. He can play big nickel. He can play nickel corner. He can play strong safety. He can play free safety, even though that really doesn't exist anymore in this defense with the way they play zone. I think he's going to help. And I think he's made this secondary better. I think he's solidified this new and improved defense.
I punched up your latest missive for Pro Football Network. 10 most intriguing players cut yesterday, headed to the waiver wire. And you got 2 Eagles on there. Now, is that just your familiarity with the team for all those years before you became a national superstar? Or do you actually believe these guys are going to be in high demand for a team and that are actually going to get claimed by someone rather than deciding whether they want to come back to the Eagles practice squad or go to somebody else's? Those 2 players were Noah Tungai and Andre Sacheret. You think they're going to get claimed?
Well, I think you have to go with previous history, right? They both were claimed the last time they were part of Final Cuts. You look at Togiai. I know that he had some interest before he re-signed to a future deal. The tight end depth around the league is atrocious right now. the Giants roster, their starting tight end couldn't be the third tight end on this Eagles team. So
that's not good.
yeah,
I think the Eagles have depth problems at tight end.
Right,
I
they
really
do. That's
Yeah.
how bad the Giants
Yeah.
are. I mean, you look at the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers tight ends group is a who's who of who is who. And I think, I look, Arizona doesn't have a lot of tight end stuff. I appreciate you, Jody, for that.
Love that. That's a great line.
Yeah, you can use it if you want. But I think those guys in particular are interesting because they are very good on special teams. And those are the type of guys that get claimed. Typically, there's like 15 to 16 guys that get claimed. And 4 of them are typically from the Jaguars because they can't do their own roster moves evaluations. But I think when you look at what they bring to the table,
Tony Khan,
Noah Togiai has experience with Doug Peterson. They were furious when the Colts claimed him in 2020. Like, furious. Like, it was not good. And they need some tight end help, you could argue. You look at Andre Chachere, the Jaguars again cut Rudy
Ford. Yeah, I haven't paid attention with Rudy, but Rudy was a heck of a special teams player.
Yeah, hell of a gunner, but they cut him because they wanted to save $2 million. Who can blame them? Chachere is making the league minimum. You replace him with him. Makes sense to me. I also thought, John can back me up here, but I thought he showed some growth in the secondary this year. I thought he played much better defensively than he did last year. Low bar, but I do think I don't think he's completely unserviceable in the secondary. So those guys were interesting. Also, when I wrote the article, it was before, the 5 teams every year that hold their their cuts hostage, drop their stuff. And remember, this is just team players on the waiver wire. This is not including the veteran players who are immediately free agents. So, I mean, we already saw Nate Sudfeld signing with the Detroit Lions. So I feel like I'm about to sneeze. But
let it go, Mike. Let it go. It's all right.
I think that, from that standpoint, if you look at this list, these 10 players, they're all players who can bring depth. They're not like guys who are going to move the needle. And that's not what waiver claims are for.
No.
But you look at somebody like John Leglue, who got cut by the Steelers. He can play long snapper, he can play center, and he can play guard. That could appeal to a lot of teams. You look at somebody like Tyler Johnson, who has some legitimate experience for a playoff team and has deep threat ability. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jaguars try to claim him too. So I think there are some guys on that list that really could draw some interest there.
Yeah, I think the waiver wire is always overrated. We'll see. It's usually between 40 and 50 guys for that reason. Football's not like baseball where you can plug and play guys. So I want to kind of fold this into CJ again because it's a week and a couple days before the season opener. And you mentioned Andre Chachere, and he was cross-training. He was playing nickel corner. You see this mentality of the Eagles that have they were cross-training Josiah Scott, Andre Chachere. They brought in Ugo Amadi for that short period of time, who has nickel safety sort of versatility. But it's 10 days before the regular season. Can you get somebody up to speed that quickly to being a starting level player in the NFL, even a talented one, even one, a 24-year-old athlete with traits? Can you get him up to speed that quickly?
Are we specifically talking about CJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think Gannon asks a lot of his safeties. I mean, yeah, they have to do a lot of things, but mentally, I think it's a lot of reaction. Like, you have a general task. Defenses are typically ahead of offenses in training camp because they have less to schematically think about, right? So I do think it helps having somebody like TJ Edwards out there who knows the defense like the back of his hand, who can help him line up. Marcus Epps has been around pretty much the entire, outside of Kaiser White and Hassan Reddick, the back 7 has been around, right? And all of his teammates have been around for a while. There weren't a lot of guys that made the team outside of the starting level players that they brought in this offseason that weren't here and haven't been in this defense. So I think he can kind of rely on that. I think it's going to take some time. I don't think you can hit a home run right off the bat with him. I think you'll see a little bit more Josiah Scott than you probably would in weeks after that. But, excuse me, my nose.
I mean, well, I guess what I'm saying is, and I'll use Jaquaski Tart. So he played 7 years of safety in San Francisco on a really good defense in a Vic Fangio scheme, and that's essentially what the Eagles are going to run,
right?
Sort of morphing off what he does. And the spin was Jaquaski wasn't picking up the terminology quickly enough, and all of a sudden, you're bringing in a guy who's played real safety. And as you mentioned, it's sort of morphing, but 80 snaps, I think, in his career per Pro Football Focus. And if Jaquaski can't get it, and he's been in this scheme or a very similar scheme, how's this guy going to get it in 10 days? It's just something that, because I loved the trade when it came down, like everybody else. I loved it. I said, wow, nice job, Howie. And then I started to think about it. I'm like, this might be a little bit more difficult than people might be imagining.
Well,
am I off base?
I don't think you're off base. I do think that this is not like an ideal situation, but I do think his natural talent helps. I do think his body type fits what they want to do at strong safety. I think his speed, his physicality. But yeah, I do think it's going to be a process. I think that first month is going to tell us a lot about where he's at.
All right, Mike, my last question is this. And you can, if you feel the need to explain it, if you can do it quickly, because we're sort of running out of time. However you rank teams in the National Football League on both sides of the ball. 32 teams in the NFL. This is the number one ranked offense. This is number two ranked. This team is whatever statistic you put up into it to come up with the way that you rank all the teams in the NFL, both on offense and on defense. Who's higher on the list? The Eagles defense against all the other defenses in the National Football League, or the Eagles offense against all the other teams in the National Football League?
Oof. I would say the offense is higher just because I know more about them. I feel like we're not going to really know what the defense is until we really see it in game action. The offense, I know what they're trying to do. And really, if you think about it, they've only added one new starter.
Right.
On defense, they've got a plethora of new players. So I'll go with the offense. I think it can be a top, 9 to 10 offense in the league. I think the defense will be kind of middling early on, and maybe they'll find their footing once all the pieces kind of come together. But I'm with John. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Last one for me, Mike. Everybody who watches this show knows when Mike Kaye is on, where it's going to end. All out, Clash at the Castle, or both? What's Mike Kaye going to take in?
I think I'll be sleeping at my castle when Clash at the Castle. Look, I think both cards are interesting. Clash at the Castle is free.
That's true.
True.
Not free. You got to pay for Peacock now.
Yeah, you do. Actually, I think we lost our free Peacock. So yeah.
So now they make you pay for it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Neither
card does anything for me, really.
Really?
If I'm being honest.
All right. I'm excited to see the environments in the big stadium in Cardiff, Wales, at least.
Yeah,
it should be a spectacle.
You don't think there's any chance of taking the belt off Roman, do you?
No, I wouldn't do it. That goes against everything in WWE's philosophy. I think they will eventually. I think they kind of booked themselves in the corner. They should have made this a 3-way and had Drew win, but pin the non-champion to make it controversial.
There we go. Creative, Tony Khan. Look, Mike Kaye's creative.
So, hey, maybe Austin Theory cashes in the middle of the thing and then gets pinned by Drew. That's the only way I can.
By the way, I'm loving this new Triple H W. I'm loving it.
I think it's great.
You could say the word wrestler, People are getting their names back. Riddle is Matt Riddle again. He's got a first name. I love it. I
remember
love
when
it.
they took away my first name. I didn't even do anything.
Yeah. Kaye.
Yeah, and on the underside, Triple H incorporating WWE guys back to NXT. Last night's show was one after the other. WWE showing up to make their pay-per-view interesting.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm loving it, and I like Tony as well. So I root for AEW as well, but he's up against it. Tony Khan right now.
Don't believe him, Michael Kaye. He hates Tony Khan because of Orange Cassidy.
I do hate Orange Cassidy.
He just Eddie
Tony's insane to put that guy on television.
Do you like Orange Cassidy?
I love Orange Cassidy.
There you go. Kaye, you and I, buddy.
I actually think Trent is an absolute star in the making. They refuse to take him off the tag team ranks.
I mean, come on. It's a visual industry, and one company's showing up with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and on and on and on, and you're throwing freaking Orange Cassidy out there and making Wardlow slip on banana peels. Come on, Tony Khan.
I like laughing. It's entertainment. It's not. That's the thing. Like, I'm not expecting a 5-star match, whatever that even means anymore.
Yeah, ask Dave Meltzer. He knows.
Yeah, no, I know, but like I don't even really know what that means anymore.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It's stupid. Now you have 7 stars. What does that mean?
That
7
means,
stars.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do think it's kind of weird that AEW doesn't have a main event in place. It's
CM Punk versus John Moxley.
We just saw that. Why do we need to see that again?
And do we even know?
It's a good question.
Going to be able to wrestle.
He is able to wrestle. It's
also suspension of disbelief. The guy hurt his ankle, could barely perform in that match. So we're supposed to believe just 2 weeks later, this dude's going to be in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Well, he's an underdog now. He's a big underdog. That's the whole booking philosophy behind it.
Right, but I used to go to like James Bond movies with my dad, and my dad would openly in the theater be like, "Yeah, right." Like, that's how I feel about the booking here.
Oh, that's interesting. Who's your favorite James Bond? Everybody says Craig. Sean Connery.
Daniel Craig, it's not even close.
Daniel Craig was better. Sean Connery's phenomenal. But Daniel Craig he did something with that character. It was unbelievable. I agree with you.
I think the Casino Royale is like one of the most special movies of the 2000s. Like, it's really... Although Quantum of Solace might be one of the most boring action movies
that wasn't great.
Life. So
that wasn't great.
Should I keep it to myself that I actually thought Roger Moore was pretty good?
Roger Moore's great. I love him.
He's fine. The opening of Casino Royale, the opening scene is one of my favorite movie scenes of all time.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
The only thing it was missing was Orange Cassidy. Had it had Orange Cassidy in the opening scene, then it might have been the greatest.
I'm telling you, Tony, if you're watching, I literally look for the remote when he comes on the television. I will physically, if I don't know where the remote is, I will search to turn off your television show.
John, I'm still waiting my stateside vodka care package. What's the deal with that?
Oh, that's right. I got to get that.
When he's going to get you to state, you know what he does when he's got to get you to stateside package? He puts his hands in his pockets.
No,
in honor of Orange Cassidy.
That's well done, Jody. People are not going to get that. If you're in stinking Voorhees, text me and I'll give it. Tell me where you are and I'll freaking drive it to you.
Okay. Well, we're probably going to grab lunch soon, I'm sure. So.
Mr. Kaye, always a pleasure. If you can get to the doctor before the day is out, we don't want to see you laid up. You got 11 days to get ready for the season, so don't be going on the IL. We need you involved. We appreciate you jumping in with us today.
Thanks for having me.